Yeah, no, astrology is fascinating both on an interpersonal level and relationships and how it, what we call in astrology, natal astrology is very, very cool. Then we have what's called mundane astrology. There's lots of different areas of astrology, but mundane astrology is looking more or less at the cycles on Earth and how they kind of correlate the history and all that stuff, which is also fun to look at as well. Then you have financial astrology and vocational astrology for career and stuff, and I do a lot of business astrology and stuff like that as well for helping businesses and corporate leaders and stuff to kind of direct their company. And
I didn't know you before obviously we started Sarafino. Can you do, because I know people will get a reading done for, I guess, launching a brand or a company. Yeah. So is there a reading you can do for an established company?
Yeah, you can do like corporate charts. Like my corporation has a chart.
Like to see when or where of new ventures or...
Yeah. Like you'll have bigger cycles that play out in the corporation. You'll have smaller cycles that play out in the corporation. That's what financial astrology really looks like at too. But also any sort of like business astrology, you want to look at both obviously the financial stuff, but also the directions. Like, sometimes like why do certain brands just feel like they're outdated? Well, it's because they need a rebrand and they kind of feel that and they have that pressure, and usually there's astrological indicators for that to happen as well.
Is it
or new leadership, like firing a CEO or something like that. There's some sort of scandal. Like there's lots of indicators of stuff like that, and that's why I truly believe within the next 20 years specifically, it's already begun. A lot of my friends that are astrologers and colleagues have already started doing a lot more consulting with brands and with businesses and business leaders and professionals and stuff, and getting more involved in the corporate world. And I've done actually a surprising amount of work in that industry just for my age and for how long I've been in this industry. But that's becoming a lot more popular because I think people are realizing that, hey, there's something to this. Not only just the corporate relationships between people, which is cool, and I like that. That's kind of what got me introduced to all that, was saying, okay, well, yeah, like there's a lot of conscious leaders in the community. It's cool to know who you're working with. It's cool to understand the environments. Why do I not get along with this person, but I really get along with this person? But it's also interesting to look at the relationships that individuals have with the company, the relationships that the company has with the world, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of kind of correlations there for sure.
I guess to give maybe astrology some more credit for some people, but I don't know if it was from you, but I've heard it or read it a few times, but especially with financial institutions, like, I don't know if it's sort of a more common thing to have, like, I guess it's not publicized, but they have an astrologer like that even works on staff.
And it's it's been around for a while, actually, like a long time, hundreds of years.
Is my understanding correct to, like, I guess a wizard or like whatever people have an idea about castles and royal families and stuff, like the wizard of
the sage, the wise man, the shaman, there's the mystic. John Dee was a great astrologer for Queen Victoria and Queen Elizabeth, and in the 1500s and so on. So this has been around for a long time, consulting with the royals and doing all that. That's actually, I would say, how probably horoscopes started, was for the royals before it got down to now you could be homeless and be looking at astrology. It was never like that.
Olive oil dealer getting
exactly.
Hooked up with readings.
Hey, I don't know, you're a presidente, buddy. President. But yeah, no, that's a big thing. It's not publicized, but if you go to, for example, NASDAQ or the TSX or any of the big trading exchanges, there's a very good chance that you'll find an astrology book or two on the floor there or around. There's a very good chance that many of the traders for institutions are keeping up with astrology. I know quite a few of my colleagues do kind of yearly forecasts for the financial markets or the commodities or whatever, and a lot of traders use astrology. A lot of institutions use astrology and consult with astrologers, whether it's dates for launching products or going certain places, going in a new direction, hiring, firing, shifting corporate structures. There's so much that you can actually utilize astrology for, which kind of seems from the outsider's view well, why would you even need that? It just kind of sounds like astrology is just more for like self-development and all that stuff, which yeah, it is. But especially as we become more conscious as individuals, obviously our corporations are going to become more conscious, and so are the institutions. The truth is though, and JP Morgan actually said this a long time, he says millionaires don't use astrology, billionaires do, and that's the truth. It's like all these guys have astrologers on hand, but astrologer is a kind of a bridge, I would say, between the tangible and the intangible, and so that's why a lot of even the traditional corporate structures feel comfortable hiring astrologers. Again, it's not publicized, so not comfortable enough to say, hey, TD Bank, we hire astrologers. It's like, no, not yet. I think within 20 years we'll see more of that, where it'll just be kind of common knowledge. But I've got a lot of friends that consult royal family members, celebrities, CEOs, Fortune 500 companies, like big guys, and they're all into it. So it's there. It's real.
This might actually be a good point to just set that reminder that of it not being causative, but indicators and influence.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's patterns, right? So it's like it's being aware of the patterns. And I mean, in the financial markets and in the corporate markets and stuff, you want to be able to identify those patterns before your competition does. You want to be able to identify those patterns before shit hits the fan. You want to be able to know that, hey, maybe it's not the best day to launch a product because the technology is going to fail or something's going to go wrong. Again, it's not causational. It's just saying that there's indicators, there's patterns, there's triggers, there's signs that say, hey, this is an ideal time for certain experiences, and this is an unideal time for certain experiences. Does that mean it's impossible to get by, launching a product on said date? No. Now, there's a lot of companies that, and I could use like example after example, launching products during Mercury retrograde periods where the product has failed or the server has crashed or something has gone wrong, where if you consult an astrologer, you wouldn't have that problem. So yes, it's not causational, but there's a lot of indicators. It's kind of like, you can go fishing anytime, but are there good times and bad times to go fishing? Yeah. There's times where the fish are going to be out and there's times when the fish is not going to be out. Just like going hunting, just like doing pretty much any sport. It's like you can go try and fly a kite in a thunderstorm, but there's going to be a lot of wind. But is that the ideal climate for that? No.
Chance of getting electrocuted,
so on and so forth. So that's kind of what I mean by that. It's not like you're saying that, well, because it's thundering outside, I can never fly a kite, or it's the worst time to fly a kite. The thunderstorm is causing me not to fly a kite. It's like, no, you're choosing not to fly a kite because kind of just common sense here, the weather is not ideal, So
it makes you think about things and gets you on trains of thought and ideas that you wouldn't have otherwise even had, on your
Exactly.
radar.
Yeah, you start to be able to work with the flow of life or creation as opposed to just trying to force your way through like we like to do as humans. And the truth is it's a co-creative experience. We're not just like, even the whole law of attraction and getting into that, like that's fine and dandy. Sure, we all create our own experiences, but there's also rhythms, there's flows to nature and to reality, and there's big cycles playing out. There's small cycles playing out. Just like, you don't have your boat in the shallow waters when the tide's, rolling out, right? It's like it's gonna hit rock bottom, and then the tide's gonna come and destroy your boat. So you could say, well, this thing is causing my boat not to, it's causing my boat to have problems. It's like, no, you could just read the signs. You could have just saw that the moon's in this sign, or the moon is at this point in its phase, and I could have moved my boat slightly this way the day before, and it would have been fine. Wouldn't have any problems. So that's kind of the point of astrology in that type of setting. And not a lot of people are aware of that, and more and more people are becoming aware of that, which is cool to see as an astrologer. I mean, you guys use astrologers at Sarafino.
Yeah.
For Western people, it is a very hard thing to
grasp.
Can't see it with their eyes. It's not right.
Now, this is something interesting, though. In India, every corporation uses astrologers. Every corporation. Every single one. Like, I would have a difficult time finding a corporation that does not use astrology in some way to plan dates.
Maybe China.
China
too.
is the same thing. They do Chinese astrology, same
Yeah, I
thing.
bet.
Like China specifically built a U.S. embassy on not only a feng shui point, but at a point in a city where the energy was extra harsh and malefic, aka going to cause problems. So they're big believers in that stuff too.
Yeah, I bet. Oh, I know.
Yeah.